Crystals, what are they? No, seriously, look at all these amazing structures and forms. They're beautiful, they're powerful, and they're life. Crystals are the essence of life manifesting within the Earth, the blossoms of the mineralogical portion of the Earth. Recognition of these energies and forms of crystals can greatly benefit your personal growth. It is a very basic consciousness, not as intricate or advanced as some life on Earth. Crystals definitely don't have the thinking capacity of humans, or even the biological reproductive systems of plants, but they are life. And today I'm going to show you how this works. Crystals are defined as being a mineralogical body with a characteristic internal structure and enclosed by a symmetry of plane faces. They are, however, much more than that. We've discussed before that everything in the universe is a vibration, existing through many different frequencies at once. Our physical bodies are on this physical plane, but the sounds that we hear vibrate to a different frequency, as with smells and even thoughts. Crystals also vibrate to many frequencies at once. Health is the natural state of any form in the universe. Considering the vibrational existence of reality, health comes when the frequencies of anything are in balance and harmony with itself. When patterns of energy are disrupted, we experience a state which we know as disease, which is a body that's not at ease. The resistant, discordant energy patterning is responsible for every negative symptom we experience, everything from headache to cancer. Crystals and gemstones have a vibration that is free of resistant patterns. They are among some of the structures in the physical dimension which have the most balanced, cohesive, strong, and intentional frequencies. Their unchanging physical structure is a reflection of their innate energetic pattern of balance and strength, which are incorruptible. In the physical world, you pick up a crystal and feel it as something separate from you that you're just holding. But on higher frequencies, you're actually interacting with that stone energetically. This interaction then causes changes to your structure and psychology through your own energetic systems. It begins a process of rebalancing the energetic structure of your body, and in a sense, can help you heal. Now, consciousness is of course the determining factor of if you are going to be accepting of these new frequencies coming into your being through crystals. I'm not going to say crystals will heal you, because if you fight them and are non-receptive to these frequencies, you will continue to create the disharmony within yourself. Ultimately though, crystals can be used to retune your whole being back to a state of harmony and flow. Crystals have been used and revered since the dawning of civilization. In fact, the Christian Bible refers to crystals over 200 times. Precious stones were used in the foundation of New Jerusalem. They were also used in the breastplates of Aaron, the Hebrew high priest. Crystals have been discovered in the ruins of Babylonia and in ancient tombs of Egyptian and Chinese rulers. This wouldn't be spirit science without some sacred geometry though. Remember the 5 platonic solids? Science understands that all atomic patterns and molecular structures were based on these 5 forms. They create the forms that the universe manifests through. Well, here's the atomic structure of a beryl crystal. It's the flower of life, the creation pattern flowing through the structure of this crystal. Now, not all crystals are like that molecularly, but they are very geometric. There are 6 categories of crystals. Of course, there are lots and lots and lots of kinds of crystals, but no matter how many there are, they will always be in one of these categories: isometric, tetragonal, hexagonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic, and triclinic. For the most part, all of these systems are derived from the hexahedron, also known as the cube. One of the biggest things about crystals is that they can transmit frequencies. From a metaphysical perspective, we can transmit thoughts and emotions through crystals, but scientifically, does that make sense? Would you believe it if I said that pretty much all of modern computing technology was based on the living element of crystals? Consider the radio. The first radio was a crystal set. They would cut a piece of quartz crystal and touch a wire to it. The frequencies transmitted through the crystal.
The quartz!
That's right. The molecular arrangement, of course, is very stable and has a measurable frequency. And because of this, it can be used in basic technology. Nobel Prize winner Marcel Vogel discovered that crystals can be reprogrammed as silicon chips in a computer, and can also be programmed with the energy of consciousness. He discovered that when a person uses a computer, thoughts are transmitted into the computer by pressing on a keyboard. That information is stored in silicon chips via the medium of electricity. Thought is a form of energy which can be given direction through what we call intention. He concluded, due to this discovery, that crystals could also be programmed without the need for electricity, by using just thoughts as the informational energy. Another interesting find is that quartz is composed of silicon and oxygen, a combination known to geologists as the building block of all minerals. The living element within crystals is silicon. Science found in the 50s that silicon shows the same principles of life as carbon. Exactly 1 octave down on the periodic table from carbon is silicon. Sponges deep in the ocean made from 100% silicon were also discovered, which shows that silicon life doesn't just work in theory, but they actually exist right here on this planet. But get this, the Earth's crust itself is made out of silicon. It's 25% silicon, but silicon bonds with just about everything. So the Earth's crust is actually roughly 80% silicon compound. We're literally floating out in the middle of space on a giant crystal ball. The term Mother Earth never had so much meaning as now, as we learn that the entire planet itself is a conscious, living being. She's aware of you and everything going on her body. The energies within crystals are universal. Therefore, when you connect with a mineral and are open to receiving what it has to offer, and begin to play creatively through your higher self, you can contact and synthesize the energies from which the entire universe is comprised. This is why crystals are so powerful, and why they must only be used through the highest consciousness of the individual. Right intention during the use of crystals further serves to connect your personal energy with that of the crystal kingdom, helping you get to a place of love, of light, and the good of all. Although each and every one of us has an infinite power of the universe within the self, we as humans always like having that support from something external from us. Every crystal form has its own individual energy and its own personality. Each can be used in unique ways to assist one in understanding the nature of existence, or moving forward on our own life path destiny as we're consciously experiencing it. I feel that right now, as people are waking up, we're becoming more and more aware of our ancient knowledge and wisdom. Part of that information that is returning to us is the nature of crystals. I see crystals as being very monumental in the evolution of humankind. They could provide a lot of love, light, and insight for many who are struggling with their own inner demons in this coming time. Things are getting more and more intense, but it's also providing people with the opportunities that they need to raise their own vibrations and frequencies to a level of light and happiness. Healing has to come from within. I'm not going to say that if you just get crystals, you'll be happier or smarter or heal better. However, think of it like being with a close friend who really cares about you. They will provide their energy and attention to you to help you find yourself in this time of need. Crystals are like that. They will give you support if you allow them to, and open up your heart to the frequencies that they are emitting. So where can you get crystals? Well, there are several options. The easiest is probably just to find a local metaphysical store. There are usually at least one or two, if not more, metaphysical shops in every city. You can find tons of pocket stones, usually ranging from 50 cents to $2 or $3. Of course, the bigger and bigger crystals you get, the more expensive they become. If you're hunting for bigger gems to purify the frequencies in your house, it's always fun, and cheaper, to go gem mining. Some gem mines actually allow you to go in with a pickaxe and mine your own crystals, and others have sand and water mining as well. This is a really fun experience, and I highly recommend it for anyone who's exploring crystals. Also, I feel it's important to note that if you have crystals and you want to learn what they are, simply do a Google search for crystal properties. There are tons of sites on the web which provide information on the particular frequencies or personalities of crystals. Crystals and gemstones are one of the most powerful tools available for us in the physical dimension right now. And like all tools, the key to maximum utilization is to learn how to consciously implement the tool. If we consciously recognize that our own electromagnetic fields are impacted by the energetic quality of each crystal and gemstone, we would see that they create an alchemical response within our own bodies and psychology, which would allow us to use them as the powerful tools that they are. We could use them on a daily basis to promote health, awareness, growth, and evolution within ourselves and the multidimensional lives we lead. On my cosmic travels through life, reality, and the universe, I have come across many things. One of the most amazing of these revelations, however, is knowledge about crystals. What they are, we already know. But what can you do with them? Many of you may have crystals already, but without knowing what you can do with them, they just sit on your shelf, influencing your energies from afar. Today, we're going to look at practical uses of crystals in your everyday life. The first thing we need to discuss is how to charge your crystals. Just like us, crystals need sustenance. Well, they won't die if they don't get any, but who doesn't love to be fed? One way of charging your crystals are with bigger crystals. By allowing the smaller crystals to receive energy from the points of the bigger ones, you can also just sit small crystals onto a cluster. However, there is a much easier way. Sunlight. Just as we receive energy from the sun, crystals also receive and recharge under the intensified life force rays of the sun. By letting your crystals spend an afternoon in the sun, they will be bursting with juicy energy for quite a while. Think of crystals like a rechargeable battery, and by leaving it in the sun, it recharges and stores energy to give to you. If it's running on low, the frequencies that it emits will not be as strong as if it would be at a full charge. You can also cleanse your crystals by allowing them to bathe in salt water for a while. If possible, use sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. If you live near the ocean, you can also let them bathe in the ocean itself. You can also sage your crystals, which is very beneficial for cleansing them and keeping them happy. Letting them sit in brown rice for 24 hours centers and grounds the crystals and balances their male and female energies. When you first get your crystals, whether it's through a gift or you dig it up yourself or bought in a store, it's usually important that you dedicate your crystals. This can be done by holding onto it and consciously intend that the crystal only be used for love, light, and the goodness of all. Your chakra system picks up frequencies throughout your whole body, through high frequencies and low frequencies. Most crystals will give off an energy which will resonate to at least one chakra, if not more. which makes them excellent tools for aligning your energy body. One of the easiest ways of using crystals is carrying pocket stones. Carry a crystal of your choosing in your pocket for any amount of time that feels right. If you need a lot of help in one aspect of your life, you might want to carry a certain crystal around with you up for even a month. Then after that time, look back at the month and see if the description of the crystal matches what you experienced. This is actually how I first got into crystals. A friend of mine gave me a crystal and told me to hang on to it for a month. I didn't really get why, but I did. After a month, I found out what that crystal did, and it had been affecting me in the exact ways of the description. After that, I was hooked, and have been exploring crystals ever since. One thing that I do quite often is actually make what I like to call spirit water. It's really very simple. All you have to do is place a crystal into a glass or bottle of water for an extended amount of time before consuming. Usually it's recommended that you wait 24 hours before drinking the water, but even several hours will yield slight changes in the water, especially if you meditate with the water. You can also leave the water out in the moonlight or sunlight for a day before consuming while the crystals are in the water. If you really want to get creative, try mixing and matching crystals in the water. For one day you could put in an amethyst, and the next you could put in citrine. This actually goes to the phenomenon of water that researcher Masaru Emoto had been studying and researching for a very long time. The phenomenon in which water that had been blessed froze into beautiful crystals, and the water that was projected negatively onto froze into gross or ugly crystals. Now, we have an entire lesson about water coming soon, because I know a lot of people want to discuss that, so in the meantime, we won't be going into this at this time. The reason I bring this up though, is that this does grant you an opportunity to try this for yourself. I highly recommend placing several crystals in water and letting them sit for 24 hours. You can also place a plain glass next to it. If you want to, meditate with the crystal water and project love and health into the water. Then, drink the water and compare the difference yourself. I have done this many times and I can always feel the difference. And from the people I've talked to who have done this as well, most people do. In my experiences, this rejuvenated water is smoother and cleaner than it is when you first pour it. So putting crystals into your drinking water is a very good way of keeping your body hydrated with some living, healthy water. Crystal grids. Many of you may have seen the YouTube video Spirit Quest 10.5. In this video, Jordan demonstrates how to make a crystal grid around your house and what it's used for. A crystal grid is an energetic grid that you can create around your house that fills your house or room with energy by connecting several crystals together through the power of your intention and energies of the crystals. If you happen to have several larger crystals and a wand crystal, you can make a crystal grid around your house or room, or wherever you are. Place the crystal around your room. The crystals do not have to be in a geometric pattern, but if they are, it will only serve to strengthen the grid. Consciously connect all of the crystals together using a wand crystal. You simply have to point the wand at a predetermined master crystal, usually a quartz, or something bigger than the rest. While holding onto the crystal in your mind, then move the wand to point it to the next crystal, and draw a connecting line in your mind. Then continue to make lines between it and the other crystals. You can go between all of the crystals and back to the master, or back to the master for every one, or anything you want really. Let your creativity guide you. You can also program your intention into the master for whatever you want, whether it be abundance or healing or spiritual development, and allow those energies to flow through all of the crystals in the grid. Something I've been playing with for a long time now and have had wonderful experiences with is what I call the bed chakra charge. The day that you charge your crystals in the sunlight, take 7 crystals, 1 for each chakra, and place them either under your bed or in between your mattress and box spring in the order of the chakras, lined up with where your body is while you sleep. You can do a little meditation with them too if you like. Set the intention for them to provide you only with the highest of frequencies for you to explore. Then, go to bed. The first time I did this, as well as pretty much every time after, I would fall asleep and wake up after about 4 hours or so. Except I would be fully charged and wide awake as if I was an iPod plugged into a socket and I'd be ready to start the day. None of that lazy, tired morning routine at all. It was phenomenal. Not only that, but I also had amazing dreams when I did that, and I don't always remember my dreams. Again, I'm not saying that this will happen, but that it's a possibility as it's what I experienced, and it would be very interesting to see how others reacted to trying such an experiment. Also, don't feel that you need to place the crystals under your bed. If it's not possible, you could put them in your pillowcase or on your night shelf or something like that. The possibilities are infinite. And of course, we could not talk about crystals without talking about meditation. You can learn so much from crystals by working with them in meditation, and they can also greatly benefit you with finding the peaceful meditation state if you're struggling with it. You can sit in the traditional lotus position with a crystal in each hand, or you can sit with a single crystal in your lap. You can also just place them nearby if you don't want to touch them. And of course, like with the bed chakra charge, you can place crystals on each chakra as you lay down, and allow your body to receive their energies naturally and intimately. What you experience from working with crystals will be up to you to discern, but many report crystals magnifying one's personal energy by merely focusing and connecting it with the universal energies. Crystals can assist in manifestation, but one must understand the difference between want and need. In manifestation, there is a thin line between helping the universe provide that which is necessary and attempting to force the universe to provide that which is desired. Unfulfilled want is one of the true sources of unhappiness. If one wants something desperately enough and is unable to attain it in one lifetime, they might keep drawing themselves into additional lifetimes until that want is fulfilled. However, need is always fulfilled, as long as it's not blocked by want. Although, of course, one might need to work to fulfill that need as well. It will come. Certain crystals, like citrine, are helpful in manifesting abundance into your life. Although in what sense, that is totally up to you. Ultimately, you are the one pulling the experiences of receiving towards you, and as long as you are open to receiving, energy can keep flowing in all aspects of your life. Finally, and this is something I found in one of my favorite crystal books, Love is in the Earth, but I haven't tested it. Supposedly, gasoline mileage has been enhanced by placing a quartz crystal on the carburetor or on the fuel line. Increases of up to 50% have been reported. Mechanical portions of the automobile have also been treated by placing a crystal on or towards the equipment. There has been many reports of crystals that have been placed in automobiles to encourage the protection and safe passage of the drivers and passengers, as well as maintaining the vehicle itself. Whether you're skeptical of crystals or not, you gotta admit there's something absolutely magical about them. And hey, why not just pick up a few just to find out? You won't know until you experience it. And now we're going to look at some crystals that are more commonly used in crystal healing and energy work, so that you know exactly what kind of crystals are best suited for helping you on your path to ascension, as well as the shapes and forms that they come in. Crystal fun fact for the day, almost all crystals grow in hexagons, which we know from sacred geometry is a very pure form that comes out of the flower of life. Supposedly though, there is a very rare crystal that grows in a star tetrahedron or Merkaba form. I've never seen pictures of it, but if anyone out there has information or pictures of such a crystal, I would love to see it, and we could show it to everyone on Spirit Science. Okay. Let's start with crystal formations. When a crystal grows on a base called a matrix, it forms what is called a crystal cluster. They generally look something like this and emit a massive amount of positive energy into an environment. They're great for having around your home or workspace. Most crystals grow terminated, which means pointy on one end like this. Sometimes you can find double terminated crystals, which grow in clay pockets instead of on a matrix. They are pointy on both ends and emit energy from both sides. Geodes are another great formation for having around the house. These are mineral products of volcanic bubbles. Very powerful. Crystal spheres are crystals that have been contoured into a spherical configuration. This is one of the most powerful forms a crystal can take because it emits the same frequency in all directions. When held or worn, they purify and fill the gaps in the entire auric field. If you have a larger one, you can gaze into the crystal to help with the evaluation of a present situation or circumstance. If you've ever wondered where the legends about psychics with crystal balls came from, it actually has some substance behind it. Crystal eggs are similar to spheres, but are in an egg shape. These are great for meditation and used in reflexology, zone therapy, acupuncture, and shiatsu. It contains a harmonic balance of male and female energies. Crystal singing bowls are a crystal that has been fashioned into a bowl. You play it by moving a mallet around the outer edge, and it creates an absolutely beautiful sound. If you haven't ever heard one of these before, you have to hear it in person. The sound resonates through your entire body at so many frequencies at once. It's amazing. Palm crystals are wide, oval-shaped pieces, which are great for meditation. You can get crystal pendulums, which are dowsing tools for following your intuition. The basic idea is that you hold it in your left hand and ask yourself a question, and allow the pendulum to swing. Depending on the direction, if it swings or goes in circles, it gives you a yes or no answer. Try this one out for yourself. It's actually pretty cool on how it works. Phantom crystals are very cool. These are crystals that grow over top of other crystals. So what you get is a crystal with an amazing crystal phantom in the middle. They're very beautiful, very powerful, and supposedly great for working with past life memories in meditation. A tumblestone is another word for what I call pocket stones. It's a piece of raw crystal that has been tumbled in a metal canister until it's nice and smooth, and feels like a pebble. Great for pockets and pillows. Wands are solid pieces that have been carved or smoothed into a wand shape, and sometimes have metal, wood, or other materials attached to it to design the wand. Wands are excellent for directing energy in healing work or making crystal grids. Okay, now let's look at some crystals themselves. We'll go over the basics and also note that I'm providing a PDF of all of this crystal information so that you can print it out and keep it in your wallet so that you can have a handy, quick reference guide to crystals whenever you're out and about. I can't tell you how handy it is to have when you walk into a store like this. Agate is known as the strength stone. Courage and strength for body and mind. Facilitates perceptiveness and precision. Is grounding and energetic. Balances the yin and yang energies within the body. Aquamarine provides emotional and intellectual stability and clarity of the mind, aids with self-expression, calms nerves, dispels intolerance and helps banish fears and phobias. Amazonite aligns and balances the mental and etheric bodies, calms nerves, aids creative expression, and cuts through illusion, brings joy, clarity, and an understanding of universal love. Rose quartz is the stone of love. It balances, heals, and rejuvenates the emotions, cools hot tempers, clears stored anger, guilt, and jealousy, and encourages compassion and harmony. Calcite facilitates an awareness and understanding of nature, aids in the remembering of astral travel experiences, and alleviates fear. Carnelian aids concentration and memory, stimulates the inquisitiveness and dispels apathy, enhances attunement with the inner self. Lapis lazuli enhances awareness and intellect and enhances psychic abilities, helps overcome depression, aids creativeness and protection. Smoky quartz dispels negativity and releases emotional blocks, provides grounding and protects, as well as enhances channeling power. Clear quartz is the spirit battery, excellent for meditation, amplifies energy and thought, as well as dispels negativity, aids communication with every dimension. Amethyst is the peace stone, ideal for meditation and enhancing psychic abilities, a great calming influence, very protective and inspirational, radiates with divine love. Malachite aids intuitiveness and transformation, balances, clarifies the emotions, and clears the subconscious blocks and reduces stress. Sunstone dissolves negativity while grounding your root chakra and providing the energy of the sun in the palm of your hand, enhances the masculine nature, and is great for working on projects. Moonstone, on the other hand, stimulates confidence and balances the emotions, helps with intuitiveness and perception, enhances the feminine nature, and clears the auric field. Peridot inspires happiness. This one is great for making your days brighter, strengthens and regenerates the individual, and reduces anger and jealousy. Selenite is an excellent stone for pushing further spiritually. It stimulates the third eye and crown chakra and provides clarity of the mind and expands one's awareness of the self and those around you. It is very intense, this crystal. And these giant crystal mines in Mexico are actually selenite. Just remember not to use it in water, as selenite does erode, and you'll be drinking little crystal bits, which probably isn't best for your digestive system. Citrine is the stone of abundance, joyous, warm, and energizing, raises self-esteem, stimulates mental focus, and aids the enlightenment with the higher self, attracts and maintains abundance. Kyanite is a fantastic stone of alignment and strength. It never needs to be cleansed or charged in the sun. It grows in long, fibrous strands, and that's what it does to your energetic body. It strengthens and aligns all of your chakras to each other. Obsidian grounds and protects against negativity, aids in the understanding and clearing of subconscious blocks. Tourmaline is the protection stone, wards off fear and negativity and protects on all levels, enhances inspiration and encourages self-confidence and understanding. Sodalite rationalizes and aids clear thinking, bringing clarity and truth, enhances communication and creative expression. Tiger's Eye brings cheerfulness and optimism, enhances clarity of thought, balances the yin-yang energies, and helps soften stubbornness. Now, what we just looked at were a very basic and simple understanding of all of these crystals. If you really want to dive into each one, there are literally pages and pages of things that you can read about every individual crystal as well. The different properties they have, the energies they hold, the frequencies they emit, and the structure of the crystal themselves, and why it's relevant. There's a lot more that we can go into, and by Googling each one of these crystals yourselves, you can also find tons of more information about these crystals. We're going to start by talking about orgonite, and then we're going to move on to what I call the crystal movement. To discuss orgonite, first we must discuss the basics of orgone energy. Simply put, orgone is energy. In fact, it's another name for the multi-named etheric energy that is everywhere and embodies all things. Reiki energy, prana, biomagnetic energy, chi, soft electrons, and life force energy are all names for the same thing. An orgone matrix or orgonite crystal device is a device that provides assistance with working with these etheric energies. Orgonite both releases orgone energy when stimulated by other forms of energy and has the capacity to change orgone energy from one state to another. It is especially suited for dissolving negative energy in an area and converting it to balanced, healthy energy. This makes it especially useful in a wide range of applications, from alternative health, radionics, and other traditional metaphysics. Where did orgonite come from? Well, in the 1930s and 40s, Dr. Wilhelm Reich was able to detect and measure the existence of etheric energy, which he called orgone, using a modified Geiger counter. He determined that by stacking alternating layers of fiberglass, which is an organic substance, and steel wool, an inorganic substance, you could attract and collect orgone energy of both positive and negative polarities. He called the positive energy POR and the negative energy DOR, which stands for positive orgone and deadly orgone. He began constructing a device that was able to successfully heal his patients of various ailments, including various forms of cancer, by having them sit inside the box for periods of time. In 1986, scientists at the University of Marburg in Germany published the results of a blind study, which showed that 30-minute orgone accumulator treatments caused a consistent psychological effect. They published that their investigations displayed evidence for the assumption that the properties of orgone accumulators and its effect on humans factually exists. Reich's work continued into the 60s by a really open-minded Russian scientist named Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, among others, who also scientifically proved that such unseen energies do exist all around us. This work led to the Soviet military using torsion field sciences in their military defense applications, which shows that amazing discoveries that can change the world can both be used for the light as well as the dark. In continuing this work, modern science has taken it to whole new levels in trying to figure out the nature of dark matter, zero-point energy, and the vacuum flux, and these are all discussions for another time. In 2000, orgone accumulators came into being when Don and Carol Croft discovered through much research that mixing organic fiberglass resin and metal chips poured into small molds like paper cups and muffin pans would produce a substance which would attract etheric energy. Then, by putting crystals into the mix, you get something even more amazing. Carol Croft, who was incredibly gifted in sensing etheric energies, found that adding a quartz crystal to the orgonite would cause the orgonite to not just attract all kinds of energy, but rebalance and transmute all of the negative energy into positive. As we learned in Crystals 1, this is because the molecular structure of quartz is incredibly stable and harmonically aligned with the geometry of the universe. Organic substances attract and hold a scalar charge, while metallic substances tend to repel it. Basically, orgonite pulls in bioenergy, and while energy is inside the device, metal particles and organic resin both push and pull on it in all directions at the same time. This puts friction on the energy, where the crystal will begin to create order from chaos by aligning the structure of the energy into a more positively aligned pattern. Crystals and gems all have their uses that we've looked at, and orgonite does too. Orgonite is good for putting in an area that is needing a transmutation of a lot of negative energy into positive energy, and depending on what that situation is, you may need lots or very little. There's actually one final thing I'd like to bring up about orgonite, which is actually called tower busting. It has been widely experienced that the widespread use of cell phone towers create a thick blanket of DOR, or negative orgone energy, around the areas between them. This saturates our homes and communities with negative energies that promote drought, negativity, fear, and so on. I'm not saying that the towers are causing the negativity of the world, but perhaps just stimulating or intensifying it. However, it has been experienced that this can be remedied by placing or burying orgonite at the base of a cell phone tower. Thousands of aware and selfless, beautiful people in the world have begun doing this and slowly helping out in what is being called the orgonite gifting movement. And this is happening all over the world. And we need your help as well. To find out more about orgonite, check out www.orgonite.info, where it talks about the science behind it and the gifting movement and how to get involved yourself. Or check out the link in the comments to an article by my friend Trey, who makes orgonite and has written a big explanation about how and why it works. Now we're going to move on to the crystal movement. Now, I realize from the title you might be thinking, what? Is this some kind of new movement like Zeitgeist or Occupy, only based around crystals? Well, not really. But if we follow through with this shift in consciousness could be an incredibly smooth process. Crystals, being conscious, don't just like sitting around in the same spot all the time. They like to travel, just as most people do. Crystals move about when they want to. They change owners, jump out of your pocket, and flat out abandon you when the time is right for them. If you are in tune, you will be able to know when a crystal is ready to move to someone or somewhere else. Just like people, when we are done with a task, it might be a time to move on to something new. Crystals are the same way. I've had many experiences where a crystal of mine that I loved decided to leave, stay somewhere else, be with someone else, or just flat out vanish on me. It's all fine though, because that's where it went, which means that's where it needs to be. The crystal movement is about the movement of crystals across the world and into the hands of the people. It's time for crystals to help the human race find ourselves and return to a higher state of awareness and frequency by bringing in pure and high frequencies that we need. All over the world, people are beginning to give crystals and move them around. They're giving them as gifts for holidays and birthdays. One thing I've started doing is actually carrying around a little bag of crystals with me all the time to hand out to people that I encounter as I go about my day. When a person who's down on their luck asks you for some spare change or a cigarette, you can reply, "Sorry, I don't have any change, but I'd love to share a crystal with you," and then briefly describe what it is this particular crystal does, if you know, and wish them safe journeys on the path that they are walking. I encourage everyone to try just doing that. what you're doing is literally giving out a little pocket of love or abundance or insight, and who knows what will manifest into their life. It feels absolutely incredible. It's so good to share crystal magic with people and to see their eyes light up when they're holding their brand new rose quartz or kyanite or whatever. Ultimately, it's just spreading goodness. If you're shy and don't necessarily want to hand them out to strangers, you could also just leave them wherever you go. Jim Carrey said that he used to go around and write, "Have a great day" on $20 bills and leave them around the city for others. You can do that with crystals. Can you imagine the feeling of stopping to tie your shoe and finding a beautiful piece of rose quartz just saying, "Take me"? Now imagine being able to give that to others. Compassion, love, and gratefulness are such powerful and incredible emotions and frequencies, and love will be the force that brings us together. Now, we have mainly been focusing on what smaller crystals can do. Pocket stones are wonderful on an individual basis, but now let's come up with some ideas that we could do with larger crystals. Large crystals are very powerful. You can do a lot with large crystals, and you can help a lot of people if you put them in the right places. For example, putting large geodes for healing and love in hospitals could help many, many people recover incredibly quickly. Crystals around your home can influence or aid in your family life. Putting crystals in the classroom could help students both learn and grow more as individuals and communities. We could install large crystals of abundance and love into homeless shelters, and who knows what could happen. Even smaller businesses can benefit with some crystals around the office or work environment. I feel it's very important that we start investing in crystals and fast, not because of the economic reasons, but because of what it will do for us and what beauty and love it could bring into our lives. So how do we do this? This is probably something that needs some organization, and we need to follow through. On the Spirit Science website, we've been partnering and working with many people who work with crystals. Our friend Kiko makes chakra necklaces, which you can get through the site. We're also working with my friend Trey, who makes orgonite to help get as many of these orgonite devices out to the world as possible. How about bigger crystals? We feel this is going to work on a community basis. Obviously, not many people have hundreds of dollars to spend on crystals to share with their communities or workspaces, or local hospitals, shelters, and schools. However, collectively we do. I encourage everyone who is on board with this to share these videos and information with all of those around you, and look into collectively pooling your resources into bringing some powerful, energetic fountains into your environment. Not only will this bring in a lot of good energy, but it will also create a lot of love connections between the individuals who are sharing the experience of getting crystals together. And if you do put crystals in a home or workspace or environment, take a picture of it and send it to us. We could put it up on the website and show how the crystal movement is doing. To wrap this video up, let's conclude with something really awesome. The 13 Mayan crystal skulls. What are they? What were they? What do they do? I'm going to share what Drunvalo Melchizedek has shared, but there's a lot of information available out there. Perhaps we can go into a full story another time. In a nutshell, 13,000 years ago during the fall of Atlantis, the Maya took their calendar and left Atlantis. During this time, they carved a large crystal skull out of quartz crystal and held a ceremony. One person who was trained and prepared would consciously drop their body and enter into the skull, where they would reside within for the next 13,000 years. Then, every 1,000 years, another ceremony like this would take place. The ceremony involved a being who had an understanding of everything humankind knew at that point, and then entering into the crystal and saving these memories within the skull. Kind of like the Mayans would hit file and save as every 1,000 years to preserve what they knew. Supposedly this year in 2012, they will hold a final ceremony with all of the crystal skulls coming together to reveal all of this ancient knowledge to the world and allowing it to enter our consciousness once more.
The sunrise is so bright, a good time to open up your eyes. The warm kiss of the rays bliss. Breathe in and clear your mind.